High in the frigid zone of Europe, the Arctic Circle cuts through the northern tips of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. This is Lapland, a place, but not a nation, for it encompasses the upper regions of all 4 countries. Here in northern Sweden is an area typical of all Lapland. Long before the first recorded history of this land, massive herds of wild reindeer ranged this Arctic wilderness. Along the coastal plain of the Gulf of Bothnia, they spent the winter. With the coming of spring, they migrated to the mountains, where they fed on lush green pastures. Following these great herds on their migratory way came the ancestors of the Lapps. Some slew the deer with primitive spears. Others followed them into lakes and rivers to waylay them from canoes. But through the years, they learned to conserve this food supply, and in time, the practice of reindeer herding became a way of life. And so it is today that the Lapps are destined to follow forever these wandering herds. In fact, the very name Lapp is Swedish for nomad. About the middle of May, with the land still deep in snow, a herd of some 1,500 reindeer start north for the summer. And it's this herd, and the families who own them, whose fortunes we shall follow. At the start of the long and difficult journey, several herds join to form this common caravan. The families, too, travel together in mutual cooperation for the care of the herd. The only permanent thing in the life of the Lapp is the need to be forever on the move, and so personal possessions must be few and portable. This land is a network of waterways, so frozen lakes and rivers serve as ice-paved highways for the first part of the long trek north. As the lowlands are left behind, these conveniences yield to rough and rugged terrain. Long before man domesticated them, the deer followed these ancient trails on their endless quest for food. And so they know instinctively where forage may be found. Beneath the snow, succulent mosses, and clinging to the rocks, a new growth of tender lichens. But grazing stops are short. The calving season is near, and the cows are anxious to move on. Magnificent Mount Aka is their destination. Here the cows will drop their calves where they themselves were born. So in the foothills, the herdsmen establish temporary quarters. The native Lapp costume, though picturesque, has its practical side too. In these bright colors, the herdsman is plainly visible should he become lost or injured. At this time, a constant vigil must be kept against attack by wolves and wolverines, for newborn calves are easy prey to predators. Respites from guard duty give the herdsmen a chance of fishing and supplement the diet of dried and frozen reindeer meat. Although this is a way of life fraught with hardship, it's not without compensations. Here there is fulfillment of the Lap's simple desires, and here he finds serenity and peace. While the herd's in the high country, here in the valley below, temporary bulwarks are thrown up against the last cold blast of winter. But now spring releases the land from winter's grip, and the balmy sun carves palaces of crystal in the dying ice. The thaw is welcomed by the children, for it ushers in a season of outdoor play. For those too little to whittle a boat, a sardine can serves just as well. As long as he does his sailing in a leaky rowboat, everything's fine. But when the skipper takes his clipper to sea, complications arise. Since this Lap family will spend each summer here, permanent quarters are in order. Using simple tools and primitive methods, the superstructure of a sod house is expertly assembled. It will be constructed entirely from nature's materials, without the use of saw or nail. To insulate this framework against the wind and cold, sheets of birch bark are used. Thick sod blocks will keep the bark in place and hold the heat inside. Homemaking is a family project, and the children act as sod hod carriers. With the addition of a roof garden, the summer home is complete. The Lap is a nomad only through necessity. He has a high regard for his home. This one-room house holds all that he treasures most. Preparation of meals in the confined quarters begins with bread baking. The smell of fresh bread, toasting by an open fire, is a temptation that can't be resisted. In Lappish etiquette, it's perfectly acceptable to eat with the fingers and forego forks. But this little Lap may soon forego fingers. tidbit of homemade goat's milk cheese, aged and pungent. Some prefer to drink their cheese dissolved in hot water. Children the world over hate to go to bed, especially in daylight. Here in the land of the midnight sun, it doesn't get dark all summer long, so Lap mothers really have a problem. Once the household is settled for the season, supplies of fish can be laid in, and the Arctic lakes offer many varieties. Summer is short, and there's much to be done. Skins from recently butchered animals must be stretched and dried. Later, they'll be made into blankets, rugs, and rawhide boots. Cured skins are worked into articles of clothing to be offered for sale in the town next winter. Amid the work, there are some luxuries. To Grandma, her pipe is a thing of beauty and a source of much pleasure. She's puffed her way through a lifetime of productive labors, as her gnarled fingers testify. The herdsman, looking ahead to the fall roundup, carves a bone hondo for his lariat loop. The footwear of the Lap is subjected to harsh and rugged use, so new boots are constantly in the making. Seams are stitched in a special way that makes them waterproof. To seal the loose-fitting boot tops, leggings are woven on an ancient hand loom. With his leggings tightly wrapped, the herdsman is well prepared for wind or water. Here, women are spared the task of knitting socks. To the resourceful Lap, native sedge grass called shoe hay serves the purpose. A summertime delicacy are fresh wild lingonberries. They're similar to cranberries, and the Laps find them in abundance on the hillsides. In his kinship with nature, the Lap finds little to be desired. He has a fine, free life in a land of crisp air and clear water. His heritage is the glory of the earth, and in this harsh land, the Lap finds many blessings, for which he is inspired to give thanks. Living close to the things of nature has created a reverence for things of the spirit, and with a deep sense of gratitude, these nomads of the north have erected a temple in the wilderness. After devotionals, families gather for an old-fashioned Sunday afternoon picnic. Lap girls are well aware that a picnic affords many opportunities, and she who strolls by a babbling brook is bound to make a catch. While the hearts of youth are ever eager, the young herdsman has few luxuries to offer his Lappish lass, and she brings to him only a dowry of devotion. Still, theirs is a partnership that recaptures the simplicity of a primitive past, perhaps too long forgotten in a frenzied present. But courtship, like everything else, must ever bow to the dictates of the reindeer. With the approach of fall, the rut or breeding season is at hand. Now the bulls collect cows by the dozen and guard them in jealous rage. When their great racks become locked, they sometimes fight to the point of exhaustion and starvation. The fighting might go on indefinitely, but the first snowfall signals the end of the rut and cools the tempers of the bulls. With the breeding season over, the language of the land warns them to start south ahead of the fast approaching winter. This stirring of the deer is the signal for the families to move too, for neither deer nor man could withstand the winter here. With the lakes and rivers still free of ice, many miles of the return journey can be negotiated by boat. But leave-taking is a wistful time. For some, this may be the last glance back at scenes filled with a lifetime of memories. Now the noonday sun hugs the horizon as the gold of the autumn sky is reflected in a copper sea. Portents of nature, sending signs of storms to come. Mute testimony that they've embarked none too soon. Too sense the need for haste. Once stirred, they hover continually on the verge of stampede. On the journey north, the frozen lakes and rivers served as highways, but now the reindeer are forced to swim. A lead deer, known as a Judas, is used to lure the rest into the icy water. If he can be led across, the herd will be quick to follow. But it's a precarious time, for the slightest distraction, a strange noise, or a sudden movement may panic the herd. Today, the crossing is accomplished without incident. It's been a chilly swim, but after a shiver and a shake, the herd will be ready to move on. Anxiety increases now, for the hand of the Arctic is spreading a blanket of snow to put the land asleep for another lifeless winter. But the timing of the animals proves correct, and the herd reaches the southern corrals in time. Here the business of separating the individual family herds begins. Each animal carries his owner's special brand or mark. Thus, each breeder can identify his own personal stock. At this time, too, the increase is thinned out, and the choice stock marked for slaughter. In his proficiency with the lariat, the Lap is the equal of the American cowboy. Yet with all his skill, he doesn't always catch a reindeer. And this time, he may have roped himself into something he can't let go. Wintertime's vacation time all over Lapland. A time to visit the cities, where marketplaces are bazaars of Lap handicraft. Here the Lap sells the product of his labors and buys the goods of the outside world. Clothing and needlework represent a summer's work by the women. And since this is the land of the reindeer, it can't be far from the address of Santa Claus, so there are things to delight the hearts of children. Mink is a nice Christmas present for the girlfriend, even in Lapland. Although little attention is paid to fancy gift wrapping. Wintertime is also a time for a favorite Lap sport, and reindeer racing promises excitement for all. At the post, not a creature is stirring until they're off. Prancer and Dancer are away from the post, neck and neck. Donner and Blitzen third and fourth. Close behind, Cupid, Comet, and Vixen out slow. Dasher stumbles. He's scratched and his hopes are dashed. Around the first turn, it's Prancer by a horn. More rapid than eagles, the coursers turn into the backstretch where it's Prancer leading by 2 lengths. But now Dancer starts to move up and is closing in fast. The rest of the field is bunched at the far turn with Donner and Blitzen still fighting it out for third and fourth. Excitement is at a fever pitch as Blitzen breaks his stride and falls off the pace. In the lead, it's still Prancer who slid his sled ahead by 3 lengths. Now Dancer comes up on the outside, but Prancer cuts him off. Maybe an inquiry by the stewards on this, and Donner's driver goes to the whip. Into the stretch, Dancer makes his bid, but it's still Prancer by an antler. Cupid is last, but then his heart isn't in it. Now past the judges' stand under the wire, and the winner is Vixen? Well, never bet on a favorite. Wintertime is also wedding bell time. Now all over Lapland, wedding processions are carried out on a grandiose scale. Friends and relatives join the bridal party and march in line to the church. The groom with his bride beside him travels in the center of the line. It's a kind of safe conduct escort to the altar. Everyone attends the ceremonies, everyone wears his Sunday best, and everyone joins in the singing. To the Lapps, the nuptials represent much more than simple ceremony. They hold a promise of new generations to carry the traditions of this proud nomad into the future. And so this man takes this woman, and they stand together on the threshold of a new life. Devotion to each other and a heritage of courage, they're prepared to face the challenge. For the life of the Lapp is an endless vigil amid a forest of antlers against the yellow sky of a nearly sunless land. But now the call of the high mountain sounds nature's wondrous song anew. Once the call, again the Lapp must follow. His life ruled by the unruly herd, forever engaged in a battle for survival in a land he can challenge but never change.